Hiya folks, Jay here at The View for a very quick match review of Leeds United 1, Blackburn Rovers 1. A strange game, a game that coming into this, knowing John Hughes's record against Leeds, would be a game that we'd probably accept a draw in. It wouldn't be the worst result in the world, knowing full well that we are going to drop points at other points this season. Blackburn coming to the ground and knowing John Hughes's record against Leeds and against Daniel Farke probably looked like the obvious one. We did do a live watch along over on Big Up, which is why my voice is a bit hoarse, because towards the end of that game that got a little bit exciting. But it was a game for me that was very much a tactical block out by both managers. You could see very early on that Blackburn was set up with a mid block, very well organised. John Hughes tends to have his teams very well organised and leaves them plenty of possession. They let us have it, trying to catch us on the attack. Joe Blackburn, who has helped out on this channel before, was at the game sitting right behind the Blackburn dugout, and he texted me to say that Blackburn's tactics boards and what they've gone through with their players and subs is all set pieces. There was nothing from open play, and it was a set piece that cost Leeds in the end. Leeds had to knock on the door for quite a long period of time before they eventually got the breakthrough, and it did come via a penalty. Good work by Leeds, and then Mateo Joseph getting clipped. If I was a Blackburn Rovers fan, I might have thought the penalty was a little bit harsh, but in the circumstances, as a Leeds fan, you take that. And Leeds had a chance to take the lead, and they did through Pascal Struijk. At that point, you want Leeds to concentrate, dig in, and just see the game out. Leeds can see the corner, and unfortunately, one of our best players this season, Dan James, goes to sleep a little bit. And as the ball is cleared, the player that he started off marking in the corner, Danny Batt, gets on the end of it and rolls the ball into the corner. Both halves were slightly different. Second half never really got a chance to get going. A lot of injuries at the start of the half. Leeds losing Sam Byram at half time, which looked precautionary with Max Ferber coming on. And then Jayden Bogle on the right hand side going off early with looks like a hamstring problem that could be an issue. Leeds opted for Ethan Ampadu on the right hand side, and we lost a little bit of that overlapping flair that we get from Jayden Bogle. Ampadu stayed deep for pretty much the entire game. What that also meant was Dan James didn't have anyone backing him up, and Leeds wingers Solomon and James were both being doubled up on, and they needed that overlap in order to find a way out, and they didn't get it when that had happened. On the left hand side we had a centre back, and if you're Isaac Schmidt, you've got to be on the bench asking yourself, what have you got to do to get on the pitch for Leeds United? Farke commented before about playing Ampadu at right back over Schmidt because of the defensive capabilities. Leeds weren't really defending in this game, and possibly Schmidt was the exact player that should have gone in there. A player who, before he joined Leeds United, was scoring in European competitions for St. Gallen, and now can't get on the pitch for Leeds United. Then the midfield partnership was the big conversation coming into the game. What would Daniel Farke do? Would he rest his skipper? And he did, and he went back with the advanced midfield pairing of Tanaka and Rothwell. Tanaka, for me, having more of a game that we're used to seeing from him outside of an off day midweek when him and Ampadu didn't really get on the same page with what they were doing. Outside of that, it was going to be a first half of just possession. Leeds kept the ball as much as they could. They tried to find a way around, but that Blackburn block was disciplined, very well organised. And for me, looking at it from a tactical perspective, you've got to give Blackburn some credit for a very, very, very well organised and disciplined backline. And the discipline is the big one. Leeds' style of play was designed to try and draw them out, to keep the ball in the middle areas, to get one of their players to step out and break that block so Leeds could get in and around. And they didn't move. They held that shape for the first half. Second half for Leeds, we started to move the ball a little bit better, a little bit more freely, but again, nothing that was caused by us. We started to make a couple of chances. The biggest chance coming as Malor Solomon, just before he was taken off, smashes the ball across the 6-yard line, and no one gets on the end of it as the ball skips out of play right across the pitch. Dan James coming into the back post, but Owen Beck doing a really good job of keeping him away from the ball. Wingers had a tough day for Leeds. There was always going to be a key area coming into this game. Manor Solomon doubled up for most of the game. It took him a while to get going, but by the end of the first half, he was covering quite a lot of the pitch and was moving. Brendan Aronson in the 10 was getting very involved as well, but just we weren't getting the ball in advanced central areas to get our attacking players into the game in central areas as much as we could. Joel Peru didn't see an awful lot of the ball, and I wouldn't say it's down to anything that he did wrong. Leeds just not finding him with the ball and not working the ball in the areas where you'd like him to do damage. Leeds had a lot of ball in the wide areas, but not doing anything majorly important there, more holding onto it and recycling possession than any kind of attacking play. And then as the second half went on, it looked as if it was going to be a set piece, but Leeds did have the bulk of the play, and when you go through the players and the team, there's very few bad performances in there. Melee has a couple of bits and pieces to do, does them without any great pressure. Jayden Bogle had a good first half. Second half, obviously gets injured and he goes off, and Ampadu comes on. That changes the attack profile for Leeds just a little bit. And on the left hand side, Max Ferber came on and actually was further forward, and he had a really good chance just after 1-1 to make it 2-1 to Leeds. He smashed the ball that had been worked across by Brendan Aronson and just bending away and allowed Pearson goal to push it out for a corner kick. Going to the midfield, Rothwell and Tanaka were fine again. Rothwell looking to push forward, and Blackburn not really getting a whole lot of joy in the middle of the park. Lewis Baker, very frustrated figure for most of the first half in there. But when Leeds made their changes to go with all the attacking players and take Joe Rothwell off, they left a bit of space in the middle of the park, and Blackburn started to get on the ball. Their changes of Dewberry and Gay coming on, they started to pick the ball up in those areas of space that Leeds had been leaving in the middle of the park, and started to cause Leeds a little bit of problem. But Leeds, again, when they won it back, were calm in possession. We're looking to get Willie Nonto in an inside role in. He had a lovely volley at one point in the game that went just wide of the goal. But looking to find ways around the back of it. It was cross after cross after cross. Pat Bamford coming on to try and get on the end of something. But Leeds just weren't picking their players out with the crosses today. Dan James frustrating today in terms of what he did with the ball. Not getting the support of an overlapping fullback in the second half meant he had to check onto his left foot and come inside an awful lot. And he kept going for that little left-footed dink bend cross that he likes to do into the back post, and I think he tried it 5 or 6 times, and every single time it was blocked pretty easily. And at that point, after 2 or 3, you've got to start looking for another way in. But again, you've got to give credit to the defensive shape. They defended it well and were organised and dealt with it. So at 0-0 coming into the latter stages of that game, a draw doesn't look like the worst result in the world, especially seeing as Burnley had dropped points today as well. A draw might be where you drop points at home, but not a bad result against a side that were very, very well organised, as I said. But then when you go 1-0 up, you want to see Leeds see the game out, and that 1-0 there, that's the option where you're saying Leeds have finally found the way to win in a tight game like this. But it's just switching off the wrong time, and tired heads, tired legs over a very busy Christmas period. But at the moment, Leeds United still top of the league, and by the time you watch this, Sheffield United may have played Sunderland, or they may not have. But by the time that game has happened, we'll know where Leeds are going in to the game against Hull on the 4th. Then we got a bit of a break, and we'll see what January transfer window brings for Leeds. Will they move early? Will they leave things late on? We'll have to see how that goes. But that'll be it for me today. Massive thanks as always for supporting the channel, folks. I'll be back tomorrow for the news and the review of the game with the lads. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.